without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, guys, any...
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up, everybody? It's another episode of Coast to Coast, the Friday episode of Coast to Coast. And I am your host, Pags, with Bo and McLovin, all here today to talk to you on our Friday. How you guys doing?
Excellent, man. How about you?
I'm doing okay. Not too bad. First things first, there was a signing. Sometimes the rich get richer. The Ravens sign Dalvin Cook.
Nice. That's a good pickup for them.
Thoughts? Immediate thoughts?
I mean, that's a good pickup.
I don't know. For me, it's a horse apiece. You know, for them, you already got Jackson's going to get a lot of running time. Gus is going to get a lot of time. Dalvin is going to be another one of those situations where it's going to be kind of a crowded field for him. But he does give them that thunder piece, right? They had the lightning, now they got this thunder piece. I think for Dalvin, I mean, I don't really know why he would choose them unless he felt like his Super Bowl chances were better with them than it was with the Cowboys. That's the only reason I could think of, because from a production standpoint, for him and his career standpoint, I think he would have got more carries and more playing time with the Cowboys personally. But I don't blame the guy. I mean, I think he felt like he had the best opportunity for a Super Bowl with Baltimore. So,
No, and I agree with that. I think ultimately he probably feels like he can get a ring there. Which, you know, if I'm looking at the Ravens or the Cowboys, I'm probably picking the Ravens too, even if I'm getting less playing time if you're trying for a ring. And, you know, he becomes that insurance piece for them. So if they get an injury at running back, they got another guy. And, you know, to McLovin's point, is he brings that heavier hitting running back style that they didn't have already. So that's definitely a bonus for the Ravens. They get some depth, they get some power. And then for Cook, you know, it's probably his inside track to get a ring this year.
That's what I would think. That he's ring fishing.
well, at this point in his career, I mean, you know, the lifespan of a running back, you know, is not as long as it used to be, right? So, the running back committee has kind of, I guess, extended it a little bit. But I think he knows that, you know, he's probably got X number of years left, and this is probably his best opportunity. And for Baltimore, they got him on a relatively cheap deal. What, $6.8 million? They're probably going to share a little bit of that money with New York. So, you know, for them, it's not going to cost a whole lot. And I think it's on a 1-year deal, right? I mean, it's on a 1-year contract, so I think he's up for free agency right after this year, correct? So wouldn't he have another opportunity to go someplace else if he doesn't get the ring with them, or if he gets the ring with them?
Well, you're right. He's going to be able to do whatever he would. Hey, he could have stayed in Minnesota and tried to get a ring there, but they wouldn't have gotten one there because Kirk Cousins is a coach killer. But you know, that being said, hey, you know what? I wish him all the best. I know that their running back was hurt, so it is like a perfect fit for them, kind of. They have so when I'm doing my research for storylines, it said I came across this story of 6 pivotal storylines to follow in the NFL's final week, and of course, the Bills and the Dolphins are storyline number one. How that the Dolphins right now are kind of like the Eagles, that they are, you know, they are not doing well going into the playoffs. You know, if they lose to Buffalo, it is a a big loss to them because obviously they would lose the division for them and such like that. And they've got a whole bunch of people hurt. Um, they did find out that Tariq Hill's house caught on fire by one of the kids playing with the lighter,
Oh,
which
no.
is a shame because kids do that, on occasion. And thank God nobody got hurt and such like that. But that's a big distraction for him, along with the fact that he was in a walking boot. So, I mean, he's already got some issues, with that alone. And the Bills, if they win, they're in. If they lose, they're out.
Yep.
So I got to imagine this is a bigger playoff game than one that they're going to be playing next week. So that being the first thing. I don't know. I think the Bills are going to win this game anyways. I think that right now the Dolphins are just beat up too much.
Yeah, I think if the Bills didn't win this week, that they truly, really didn't deserve to be in the playoffs to begin with. I mean, you're going against a hobbled Miami Dolphins. By all means, you should win this game. They are without two of their best defenders. Most likely you may not have Waddle, you may not have more. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on over there that if you can't beat this damn team, then why are we even talking about you?
Well, we would start talking about them in a different way, that's for sure.
Exactly. So we will see if that's going to be enough. But, I don't know. Like I said, I think that it's a foregone conclusion. I don't believe that Miami is going to be able to have enough weapons to be able to compete against Buffalo this week. And I think Buffalo is just going to lay it all out on the line. And in the meantime, they're going to wind up. This is one of those things where they may wind up seeing each other again very quickly. So it might be where they have the back-to-back weeks. Did this happen last year?
So that shouldn't happen, though, because the worst that the Dolphins can be is 6th, I think. Right?
Right. And then
I think when we looked at the
Bills
graphic
be
last week, that's what we said.
the Bills
Or
could
that's
be
what it
the
looked
third.
like.
Oh, would they be 3rd?
They could be the third seed. I mean, they could be the second seed as well. I guess that's going to depend on Jacksonville, I guess.
Yeah, see, I thought they were going to get into the 2nd seed if they win. And if so, they would potentially see him like the divisional round, I guess. But I think they narrowly missed them. I'm sure there's a scenario where they face each other because, as I recall, of the 32 different scenarios or something, 28 of them.
It would be. It is a winner take all for the division crown and the number 2 seed.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah, they would
winning
see
in,
round,
losing out. That's funny. Winning in, losing out, and it's only Buffalo that falls into that category.
Yes.
Everybody else is in already.
Hey, God forbid, man. I mean, if I'm Buffalo, I don't want to have to play Baltimore until the very end. I want to see what other teams could take Baltimore out before I even have to deal with them. So for them to have the number 2 seed would definitely play into that for them because I don't think there's a chance in hell that they can beat Baltimore, to be honest with you.
And then you got whoever's going to be the number 7 seed, which is probably going to be like the Colts or something like that. And I wouldn't knock the Colts out. That's going to be a tough out for the Bills. I think that the Colts would be a tough out. I think that the Jags are going to probably win the division, but even Pittsburgh would be a very tough out for them and can deal with the cold. So it'll be interesting to see if a number 2 seed would be able to go further, and the number 7 seed take it. But we will have to see. They got to get there first. So first and foremost, they got to get that number 2 seed and by beating Miami, and then we can figure it out from there. The only seed right now that is absolutely guaranteed in the NFC is the 1 seed. Everything else is up for grabs. Right now, Dallas winning would make it them the number 2 seed specific. Them tying or losing would open the door up for either the Eagles or the Lions, depending on how they did. to be able to take it. And then, of course, that be the opposite. Whoever is not the number 2 would be the number 3. And then, of course, we have no idea who's going to win the South, which would be the number 4. And that could be that team could be anywhere from 10-7 to 7-10, or like 8-9. So any one of those scenarios could occur there for that. And of course, like I said, Green Bay has the inside track. All they got to do is win it in, and that would end all of the other hopes for Seattle or Minnesota. Chicago is now absolutely out of the mix. They cannot get in. So, thoughts?
Spoiler. They can play spoiler if they want.
Well, and hey, who's to say they can't? Sometimes when you put a team in that kind of a situation, they can be dangerous because they're going to come all out. So,
well, I mean, look at the Lions last year, right? Like they're the ones that ended Green Bay's chances, and they had nothing to play for. So it really comes down to, are you really ready to channel that inner Petty and say, if I can't make it, neither can you?
Hey, real quick, I want to address Frankie Cruz, Jared. First of all, the fact that you actually think that Philly can beat New York, given what they did against Arizona, is almost kind of laughable to me. Secondly, even if both of them do win out, if you look at the conference play, you like that dig up in there, the conference play still has Dallas winning out. So if Dallas wins both of their games, which they will, we're not Philly, we're going to win. We're going to get the division. There's nothing Philly can do to get the division at this point. What they got to worry about is taking on DeVito and Tyrod Taylor. That's what they got to worry about.
So, I mean, you're pretty confident for a guy that, the last 3 games went 1-2. And the one,
but our 1-2 was against above 500 teams. Look at old Philly over there; they can't even get past a sub 500. What are we talking about, Bo?
I mean,
what are we talking about? Don't focus on Seattle. You got your own problems.
That one was kind of a gift. Like you could have easily went 0-3 there.
But truthfully, the Miami game truthfully could have gone either way too. I mean, what they get at a last second into the game field goal? I mean. It is what it is. But I'll tell you what, those 2 games are still better than what Philly did against Arizona. Flat out.
Just like you guys did against Arizona, right? So I don't want to hear it.
Seattle.
But the problem is we got better towards the end of the season. No, hold on. See, we got momentum building. We're building momentum. You're going the opposite direction at the wrong time of the season.
In what sport is one win a streak?
Hey, well, we do know that Philly had what was the Packers? Was it a 2-game or 3-game lose streak? Because I know we didn't have anything like that. Did you guys have something like that over there?
We had a 3-game losing streak. You know who had a 3-game losing streak? You know who went 10-1 and then had a 3-game losing streak and then won a game and then
won? Had a 4-game streak. Had Dallas? I mean, had the Giants not been the one that got you out of the hole?
But who went to the Super Bowl last year and who got backup quarterback? Huh?
To get you out of your slump.
Backup quarterback last year and didn't make it to the Super Bowl.
That was
probably how about the year before that, huh? How about the year before that, huh?
I'm just saying, if you look at the current momentum right now, Dallas has it and Philly doesn't. I'm just trying to say.
I know you're old, so I know you were around the last time that there was a Super Bowl. I know that
I was in high school at that time. No, actually, I just graduated high school.
So the best part about that is there was some wicked lag right in the middle of it. It was fantastic.
Anyways, that all being said, it's still a jumble. Let's see if Dallas can actually beat Ron Rivera one last time and not split with them like you guys normally do, because you guys usually stink against Washington half the time. So I mean that's what happens. How many times Washington usually splits with them every year?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but that's the thing about divisional games. Even when they suck, they always get up for divisional games. The Giants do it. Washington does. That's about the only time they really get up. The rest of the time they just look horrible. And Philly knows that.
Exactly, and I think that it doesn't matter what happens this week. If I had my way, I would rest our guys. I wouldn't even have them play him.
Not even.
But
I'll tell you one thing though, Pax. I think you kind of said it earlier, or maybe even both may have said it earlier. I think you almost don't. I almost wouldn't want buys and stuff like that. I want to keep playing. I want to keep my guys fresh, in sync, and keep build that momentum. Because, like you said, sometimes when you have that long layoff, if you got that bye, like you're number 2 or number 1 seed, you got that long layoff. You kind of come a little rusty because you haven't had the game time competition. So as long as I'm not dealing with injury issues, I kind of want to be playing because I feel like those are momentum building games.
No, I'm with you. Like it's one of those. If you're injured or you're kind of backing in, right? The bye week helps. You can kind of correct some things, get healthy, whatever. But if you're playing some of your best football, I don't want that week off, right?
No.
Like I want to keep rolling. Because sometimes, it's a momentum sport, and sometimes that breakup, it breaks it up.
Yeah.
In my best John Madden, boom, right? Like, waiting for the play to develop, and boom, got developed. Like that. I mean, that's what it is. The breakup can break it up.
yeah, I love that Frankie's talking smack as he's going to be watching. Frankie is definitely the bandwagon champion of the world because he's like a Lakers fan.
Hey, look,
and a Patriots fan.
Hey, Frankie still thinks that Zappy is the truth. He still thinks that Zappy is going to get him to the next level, okay? This is what – and I love Frankie. He's my boy. But, hey, look, the boy still thinks that Zappy is going to get him somewhere. So I just cut him a little slack,
So here's something that's going to happen this week that maybe happen this week. Right now, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts are tied for 15 rushing touchdowns, and whoever gets one, or if they both get one, then they'll tie. But ultimately, if somebody gets one and the other does not, they will actually set the record because right now they have tied the record with the best. Tied for that against Cam Newton that had 14 in 2011. And we know what happened to Cam Newton that year. He forgot to pick up the fumble.
It was hot potato, right? You're like, don't want that.
Exactly. So,
but on the plus side, he was a difference maker. So,
exactly. And the only other thing that I saw, I mean, everything else was just blah, blah, blah with those stories. But the one thing I did see that I wanted to mention yesterday that I forgot when we were talking about Pro Bowl picks when it came to receivers and Nakua, who I thought that Nakua was okay, but I thought that St. Brown actually did get snubbed by the Pro Bowl. And I'm a firm believer that he did get snubbed. That was a big snub on their part to pick Nakua over him. Not for nothing. Nakua had a good season, but St. Brown had a better one. He did have a better season all the way around. And I think that because people don't know Amon-Ra's name, it's just what I kind of feel. Just like so, it's like I thought that was a big deal that he did not, because he was one of the main reasons on why I won my fantasy football championship.
So you say you're a little biased?
Well, I am a little biased because I also got to see, but I also got to see how well he played as a guy.
He had a good year.
Because I'll tell you what, you take away Nakua from the Rams, and there is no Rams, there is no Stafford, there's nobody. It's done.
Because Kupp was out for 5 weeks or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he really carried that offense.
I mean, you can make a good case for both those guys. You really can. What's interesting to me is Nakua definitely, with Stroud, and I wonder how that's going to turn out. Who's going to get Rookie of the Year? Because I think it should go to Stroud, but then again, Nakua's name has been mentioned in there. But I definitely think it would be a snub to Stroud if he didn't get Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, that one's tough, right? Because that's another guy that did miss some time during the year. That always affects voting. So,
yeah, it does.
Whereas Nakua was available the whole time. I mean, that one's going to be tough.
The only reason I feel like it would be a snub to Stroud is, before that injury happened, he missed some time. They were having his name heavily in the MVP conversation.
Oh, he was lighting it up.
Oh yeah. So I'm like, if you're like an NFLV competition, then you know it's got to be a snub if you don't get Rookie of the Year. I mean, how much higher do you need to go for that not to be a snub?
And do they do offensive and defensive rookies of the year, or is it
They
all?
do. No, you get
Right.
defense, offense, just like you get defensive MVP and offensive MVPs and all
Yeah,
that.
because I really between Nakua and Stroud, I would think they're 1 and 2 in the voting. You know what I mean? That they're going to wind up 1 and 2. Who do you think defensively?
Whew, man.
See, I'm big on Jalen Carter. Obviously, he's an alternate that for the Pro Bowl. He didn't get the Pro Bowl selection, but I think that defensively, I haven't really heard of anybody else. The Dallas Cowboy that got all the pick sixes, is he a rookie?
Yeah, Bland. And that's what I was thinking. I don't think Bland is a rookie. I think Bland has just been in the back. He's been underneath Trayvon Diggs for a year or so. So I don't think he's a rookie. But I'll tell you what, though. I think he should be in the conversation for at least defensive rookie of the year, only because he set an NFL record for pick sixes. And
Yeah,
that's a
if he's not
hard damn thing to do.
You can't have him in the conversation if he's not a rookie.
No, I'm not talking for a rookie. I'm talking for defensive player of the year. I'm not saying he would get it, but I'm saying he's got to at least be in that conversation for what he's achieved at that position. I mean, honestly, when Trayvon Diggs went down, we were like, oh, damn, game's over. But Bland really came in and said, hey, what are you talking about, man? I'm not, here I am, and I'm getting you, 5 pick sixes. I've got like 8 or 9 interceptions on this season. How am I not in that conversation?
I mean, at the same time, you could have Bryce Young in there. He helped so many defenses around the league.
I mean, hey, listen, you're not far off. I'll tell you that, damn much. I still wonder if Otepper's over there thinking like, maybe I should have listened to my coach and went with Stroud. Like, I wonder how much he's regretting that decision.
Clearly not. He fired his coach. He's like, I don't even want to see that I made a mistake.
But did he fire him because he didn't want to see the constant reminder of how he screwed up?
Exactly.
So he had to get him out of town. And while I'm at it, let me just go ahead and throw a couple of drinks on the fans just to make that fire a little bit more.
Well, at least we're all choosing violence up in here this morning.
Exactly. So the NFLPA came out, did a survey, and they came out with the top 5 offensive and defensive coordinators in the league. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to read you the top 5. And some of these are like, okay, I can see, and some of them are like, what the hell are you talking about? Number 1, Frank Smith from the Dolphins. I don't have a question with that.
Sure, yeah.
Number 2, Thomas Brown, Carolina Panthers.
Really?
Is that because he's doing more with nothing? Right? Like they're like, hey, here's a bunch of backups and no game plan and a volatile situation. Can you score a point? You're a pretty good coach if you can make that happen. I mean, that's all I can figure because it's not like they did anything good.
Well, if
I'm not having him at number 2. I got an issue with that at being at number 2, man. I agree.
Do. I agree.
I have an issue with him being on the list. Like,
that's exactly. I can.
I'm in there with all of that. I just can't.
Number 3 is Brian Schottenheimer from the Cowboys.
Sure.
Number 4, Brian Callahan from the Bengals.
Okay.
And then
I would actually see that because, I mean, especially since
I don't know. I'm more like, why is the ball? And I forget who he is, but the Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator. Why is he not in there? Because at one point, when Mark Andrews went down, that was Jackson's number 1 guy. Matter of fact, you didn't hear anybody beyond Andrew. And then when he went down, everybody else, Zay Flowers, everybody else is coming out of the woodworks. Yep. Why is he not in that damn conversation?
Well, I mean, I get the Bengals one, though, because you're still winning games with Browning, right? You recovered from a ridiculous start to the season where you were getting absolutely smoked. So, I mean, I could see him being in that conversation because they were able to turn this thing around and then continue to win even with the backup in there. Like, I could see him being on that list.
Yeah, but you got to admit,
he's
though,
had a
that
couple of
Cincinnati
good
does
years.
have three of the best wideouts. I mean, they got, between Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. I mean, and then you got Mixon in the backfield. I mean, come on. All you really need is a game manager guy. Hey, get the rock. That's all you got to do. Don't think about it. Just get the rock to either one of those three guys. I mean, I felt like Baltimore had a little bit less to work with than what Cincinnati has to work with. Not to take anything from Browning, but come on.
Yeah,
And here's the crazy one. Though. After
didn't
all
we already
this,
have a crazy one at 2?
oh well, guess what? It gets a little crazier at number 5. The old Dallas Cowboy offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore.
Oh Jesus! No, I have a huge issue with that one, and not just because I don't like Kellen Moore, but he didn't do shit with Dallas. He didn't do nothing with San Diego. Why the hell is he in this conversation?
So I guess the only reason you can kind of make a case for him is before Herbert gets hurt, that offense put up points. The defense couldn't stop anybody. But, I mean, they were averaging close to 400 yards a game and, 28 points a game, something like that. So, I mean, it's not that they weren't putting up points. They obviously couldn't close out games, which is why Staley's gone. But I probably still wouldn't have him on the list, but I can at least sort of see the argument for him just because the offense was one of the better yardage gaining offenses in the league.
I don't know. I thought that team got worse than they were last year.
Well, they did at the end of the year for sure, but
I was gonna say, when your team goes down and you've added additions, I don't know, man. I kind of have an issue with that one.
Well, no, I mean, I don't think he should be on the list, but I can at least see.
Well, then don't defend him. If you don't think he belongs on the list, don't defend him.
No. I'm saying I can see where some of the argument is, but no, at the end of the day, he should not be on this list.
I'm just, and I don't mean to be rude, but I've had a lot of years with Kellen Moore, man. Maybe I'm just butthurt still. I hate that guy.
No. I enjoyed him down there in Dallas.
I bet you did. A lot of people enjoyed him down there in Dallas. Everybody but Cowboys fans enjoyed him there in Dallas.
Exactly.
I mean, and I felt like, because the reason why I said that about Kellen Moore is I felt like he was too predictable. Everybody told you we could predict the Cowboys' offense. Well, why is that? Who's in charge? Kellen Moore. So you're telling me that Kellen Moore is a very predictable guy?
Sure. Well, I mean, we had that same thing when we had Darrell Bevel, right? The whole time we had Bevel, they'd line up and be like, I know what this is.
Yeah. I just feel like when you're known for predictability, why are we putting you on this list? That should be completely off this list.
Yep.
I hear you, but I guess to each their own. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Aaron Glenn from the Detroit Lions, number 1.
Sure.
Steve Wilkes from the 49ers, number 2.
Okay.
Dan Quinn from the Cowboys, number 3. Brian Flores from the Vikings, number 4. I mean, I feel like he's a body of work guy. I don't know that he deserves number 4.
So that defense definitely got better as the year went, though. In the beginning, they were getting smoked, and that defense really did evolve through the season. And then for them to still be in games without having a quarterback, I mean, they've just been cycling through 3-4 different quarterbacks after Cousins goes down. So, I mean,
and that really is the thing, because when your field general goes down and your offense can't stay on the field, well, your defense is going to get worn down, and you are going to give up points because you're on the field almost 24/7.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't hate that one. I don't hate it.
I think I'm neutral on that one, honestly. Yeah. I'm more of a neutral.
Exactly.
And then Raheem Morris from the Rams is number 5. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think he's been the bearer of having Donald on his team.
Yeah.
Well, especially to leave off that Ravens defense or the Browns defense or even the Jets defense, right? Those were all. Yeah,
those are 3 really good ones.
And they were all, the Jets, prime example of a team that the defense had to do way more than they should have because the offense is incapable of doing anything. There definitely should have been some consideration there. And, of course, the Browns, through the first half of the season, they were on a historic level of stopping yardage in a league that is designed to gain yardage. So, I mean, I don't agree with that one. I think there's a couple other guys that should have been in the mix there.
All right. And then when it comes to special team coordinators, you got John Fassel from the Cowboys. I got to imagine that this was a Dallas Cowboys fan who wrote this, because obviously all three of the coordinators are there.
McLovin was actually, moonlighting over there.
Chris,
I am contractually obligated not to be able to comment on that comment.
Yeah, right.
Chris Tabor, the Carolina Panthers, current interim head coach.
What? That team hasn't done anything well.
Like 0% well.
Yeah. Is this like a different list? Like of the ones that are, probably going to get fired or something?
Goodness.
No, I don't know. This is the NFLPA, so somebody actually thought about this. Matt Daniels from the Vikings, number 3. Dave Phipp from the Lions is number 4. And Darren Rizzi from the New Orleans Saints at number 5.
The Saints make sense because that's actually the one facet of the game they've been decent at.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that one. I don't know. I guess I'm indifferent to most of them, but the Panthers one definitely is not right.
Yeah, special teams just doesn't do the same thing that they used to do. It used to be a big deal, like even as recent as like 2-3 years ago. It seems like special teams is just taken out of the mix anymore. There hasn't been many special team plays that made any.
Well,
I'm surprised Jacksonville wasn't in there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought Jacksonville did a good job with their special teams, especially when I watched them in that Houston game.
The way they've gotten rid, or at least trying to get rid of the kicking game, definitely hurts the special team stuff, especially when you think to the kickoffs that don't go through the back, that now you can fair catch and still come out to the 25. Like, I don't like any of that. How many games do you remember, like growing up or even over the last decade, that were decided by, kick returns and, special teams actually doing their job? So you're taking that third phase out of the game, which I'm not a fan of. And I get it. I got gray in my beard and, fine, whatever, old head, I guess. But, there's something about having all 3 phases of the game that I liked. And it is unfortunate the NFL is really kind of trying to get rid of special teams in general.
I agree.
Well, and I wouldn't even be surprised. And I'm not a Philly guy, but I think Philly's special teams were pretty damn good. Honestly, I thought, what was it, Covey averaging 13 yards a return on punts, and I think kicking 52 on the season. I don't know. I thought you guys did a decent job over there.
Yeah, I mean, it
probably better than Carolina. Let's put it that way.
I agree with that. That Covey was better than Carolina's kick. Again, we didn't really hear anything good come from Carolina at all. To have 2 coordinators in the top 5 sounds ridiculous to me, but I guess obviously there was some thought about that, and somebody said yes. So we shall see. That being said, you guys mentioned a couple days ago, and I wanted to bring it back up here. Before we start getting into picks, we're going to do the picks here and the second hour. But I wanted to talk about what your thoughts were about the newly formed UFC, or is it
UFL?
UFL.
Yeah.
UFL, yeah.
Yeah, and you mean the lack of pretty much all the teams are either in Texas. Well, you got one guy up in Michigan. You got one in D.C. You got Memphis, and then you got Birmingham. And I don't understand it. And now we talked about maybe some of the bigger cities, they couldn't afford the stadiums. But a lot of those colleges will rent their damn stadiums out.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure they can get something going in some of those smaller stadiums.
Well, especially in a season that's only 10 games long anyway, right? Like it's not crazy. It's a spring league. So, some of those fields aren't necessarily going to be busy. For them to take 2 18 leagues, right? And you figured a couple of teams will probably go away because in the USFL, they shared stadiums, didn't necessarily play in the city they represented. So you thought maybe a couple of those would go away, but you figured it was going to grow from 8 to 12, right? 8 to 14 maybe. And instead they take 2 18 leagues, they blend them together, they become one 18 league, and they basically get rid of the East and West Coast. Yeah. And now it becomes the most regional program ever. I don't really know how they think that's going to be successful. Basically eliminating fan bases. You started to grow. You had people that were buying gear that are probably going to almost, kind of low-key boycott it because they're like, look, I spent this money. I got season tickets. You just eliminated my team. It's something that I think is really going to hurt their viewership. I feel like they wildly missed the mark on this merger.
Yeah, I think that Birmingham and that Memphis teams, they could have put one of those, they could have taken the Memphis team and put one of those teams out on the West Coast, anywhere they want to pick. You want to pick, Seattle, Portland, anywhere in California, fine. And then you take the other one, you go to New York or you go to Florida because you already got DC. And I think, and then I think you got at least somewhat of a more of a broader base or people to gravitate to, rather than just sticking it in one specific little pot right there, in the South, the mid-South.
Seattle already had a team. So the ones that they got rid of, right? So they got rid of the Seattle Sea Dragons. They got rid of the Vegas Vipers. They get rid of Orlando. What was Orlando's team?
The Breakers.
The Breakers. There we go. The Philly Stars, right? And the thing that really didn't make sense about it is they got rid of some of the playoff teams. So it's not like they got rid of teams that were just bad. Seattle was a game away from being in the championship game for the XFL. Like that doesn't seem like a smart team to get rid of. And Vegas, one of the fastest growing sports towns in the US, they get rid of that. Also doesn't seem like a great situation. Now I heard that potentially there was a stadium issue there, but you know what they have a lot of in Vegas? Land. You could probably build something.
Oh, yeah, Vegas has a lot. Well, and like I said, if nothing else, you just go rent out the UNLV stadium or something and play it there until you can grow big enough to build your own stadium. But why did for example, I don't think Texas needs 3 teams. I think I would have kept Dallas. I probably would have kept Houston. That way you got the South and the North covered. I think I would take that San Antonio team and maybe, like you said, throw one in Vegas, throw one in Seattle. That way you kind of get both of those conglomerates. And, you can kind of build from there. But it's just too compressed into one small area, and you're losing, like you said. I don't know how you, from a business point, I don't know how you grow from that. So like you're alienating so many people.
Well, especially eliminating the coasts, because that carries the bulk of the population of our country, right?
So it does. If you think about it, Texas is one of the biggest ones. California, Florida, New York. And then, of course, you got Vegas. Vegas is, fairly – but those are your bigger populated area or bigger marketed areas, for people. Especially Texas has a huge demographic. New York has a huge demographic. California and those are all – Florida, all those are big demographic states.
Yep. Well, and I forgot one of the other ones that they took out was in Jersey, right? So
what do you get out there in Birmingham? A couple of cornhole people? Damn. What are we doing in Birmingham?
Yeah, it seems crazy to me the steps they took, but I guess here we are. Really all it showed us is they still don't believe in spring football, and they've basically ensured that this thing's going to fail relatively soon.
See, I disagree with that part. I think that they went to places where football can live 24/7. And that's why they have 3 in Texas. They have 1 in Michigan. I really think that they should have probably put 1 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where you could have maybe pulled from Pittsburgh and Philly. That would have made some sense to me. You know what I mean? And
yeah, of course.
Like the Pennsylvania team. You know what I mean? Because I think you would have been able to get some of that going in there.
And that's like you said, that's where you could do even in California, you could do all other places. You don't have to go necessarily to the biggest city. Just go to an outline and see where those people can drag to, and they're going to claim it as their own. And like you said, then you don't have to pay all those big stadium fees and things like that, you know?
Right. Like I said, it's I know that Happy Valley only gets used during football season. After that, they don't really do anything with that up there. So not that I think that they could fill anywhere near that stadium for something other than a Penn State game, but short of that,
Right.
like it
Like
would.
if I was going to go in Houston, I'm not going to go to Houston. I'd probably go like Sam Houston. I'm just as an example, like Sam Houston State, which is in Huntsville, which is about 30 minutes north of downtown Houston. But you got Sam Houston State, which I guarantee you, they're not. You could rent that stadium out and they have a very nice stadium. You could rent it out nice and easy and made some money off of that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's funny is like even if the stadium was too expensive, right? So say that was part of the problem here in Seattle, right? Because they were playing, where the Seahawks play, Lumen Field there. But say that was too expensive, they easily could have went to Memorial Stadium in the Seattle Center, and you can rent that out reasonably. Flag football rents it out every year.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like it's crazy expensive to rent that stadium out. There's lots of seating. Like it's an old stadium, whatever. But I mean, you're a startup league anyway, so you're just trying to get people to go and trying to keep the ratings. But to alienate the entire West Coast, especially since they already had a team, doesn't make any sense. Some of it, I'm sure, comes into travel logistics, right? It's expensive, but even if you were going to say that, getting rid of Vegas doesn't make sense. That's a short flight from Texas that carries half the league.
Yeah, it is a short. Well, it's a short flight from Texas, and it's a short flight from LA. I mean, you got two big markets you can pull from.
Exactly. Well, and it's a short flight from Seattle as well. So, but I was thinking
Seattle, but okay, if you want to throw in there.
Whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, where Vegas sits, where you're looking at whether it's the West Coast or the Midwest teams, you know what? It's a 2.5 hour flight from just about every one of those spots. Had it been an East Coast team, it's 3.5 hour flight. Like it's not like it's crazy.
Right.
And in the process, they got rid of St. Louis, right?
Did they get rid of St. Louis?
I believe they did.
Oh, they did. They did. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you put a team, even if you put a team like in New York or Boston, you could pull Pennsylvania into Boston. You can pull New York into Boston. I mean, there's that little area right there. You could pull multiple states into that one spot.
One of the largest semi-pro leagues in the country is out of Connecticut. As funny as that sounds, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe that.
The huge semi-pro league that's out of Connecticut and New Hampshire and stuff like that. So you absolutely could have put a team up there, at least because there they have a league to be able to push that towards. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's part of some of the mistake that they're making here. That, yeah, I understand it's flights. And you got to be able to pay for everybody to get there. And then you got to pay for all the hotel rooms. And these guys are all going to have their own rooms because they ain't boarding with anybody else. You know what I mean? This is a professional league. This isn't, hey guys, we're taking the bus and going down the street and playing, this other team over here. So I can imagine that all of those logistics cost a tremendous amount of money. That makes things much harder to navigate.
Sure.
That being said, you need to be able. See, I would have felt better if they didn't put one in Dallas and instead they put it in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because New Mexico doesn't have a team.
Sure.
They're always trying to call me. When I'm in the middle of a podcast. I'm getting all these calls.
Well, again, and the thing is, even these stadiums are only going to hold maybe 20,000 people. So you're not really paying so much to fill up the stadium. I mean, you are paying to fill up the stadium, but more of it is just your TV, right? Sell the merchandise, sell all that, which is where all your TV rights come into play. So even if you couldn't make the flight from, let's say, Seattle to Vegas, you're still going to catch it on ESPN or whatever, which is still going to pay them at some level that those teams.
So this is the thing that makes that part even crazier, right? Is you have the XFL that was owned by The Rock, right? So marketing machine, people are going to watch because he's involved. Then you have the USFL that's owned by Fox, right? It's not like they got to try and find TV contracts. Like they literally own the studios.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and their TV contracts were already existing for Fox and obviously, right? And ESPN. So, I mean, it's not like they were having a shortage there. So this is disappointing. I'll just call it as disappointing. But the cities, I had it written down. I was trying to find my notes. So the cities that they got rid of, right? The XFL gets rid of the Orlando Guardians, the Seattle Sea Dragons, Vegas Vipers, right? So you get rid of Florida, Nevada, and Washington. So then you go to the USFL. They get rid of the New Jersey Generals, the New Orleans Breakers, the Philly Stars, and the Pittsburgh Maulers, right? So these are all legit football towns. Like they would go to these games. And Seattle did go to the Dragons games. So, I mean, it's not like it was 12 people showed up, so we're going to get rid of this. Like there was a lot of people in that stadium. So, and then obviously that was only 7. So then this is where it gets really weird is Houston actually had a team in both leagues, right? So they're going to blend these two teams together in the most ridiculous possible way. So this league is going to use the XFL rules. They're going to use the players from the XFL team, which was the Roughnecks. And then they're going to use the front office from the Generals, which was their USFL team. And that just seems like a very
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Was it the Houston Marauders?
No, Gamblers. My bad.
The Gamblers and the Roughnecks. Those were the two Houston teams.
Yeah. So, but the way they're blending it is the players from the XFL and the front office from the USFL, which just seems like a very bizarre way to bring these teams together. But yeah, I don't know. And then I guess there's going to be a dispersal draft coming up.
Well, there's going to be a lot of extra players that aren't going to get on teams still because they got rid of more teams than they kept. So I look at this as just, all right, whatever. You know what? Now it just made sure that I won't watch.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well,
honestly.
Especially the way they did it, right? Because it would have been one thing if it was they just started and they didn't include locations, right? Because then people in locations that didn't have a team would watch just out of curiosity. But now that you've taken teams away, people are going to be like, yeah, I think I'm good.
And then if they play in the spring, that's like during what, baseball and NBA seasons, right? I mean, isn't that kind of the same time frame?
Yeah, it's the beginning of baseball, right? Like it kicks off.
The beginning of baseball, kind of towards the end of NBA, right? When they're playoffs or whatever. I'm just saying, there's going to be other sports out there.
July 4th is supposed to be what the Super Bowl would be.
Yeah, so
right around that time.
They kick off March 30th is the first game. And at least in a marketing standpoint, they did a good job there. They're going to, for the first game of the season, they're going to have the XFL championship square off against the USFL championship. So champion, I should say. So at least that should, in theory, be interesting. But I don't know.
I'm going to say if you got the big 3 sports playing, or one of the big 3 sports playing during the time that the USFL and Birmingham is playing, I'm not watching Birmingham. I'm gonna go watch whatever else is on the TV screen.
But no, I agree with that, and I'm sure that's why Philly didn't get a team. You know what I mean? Because Philadelphia in May potentially could have not only the Phillies but the Flyers, maybe if they make it to the playoffs, and the Sixers, which are definitely going to make it to the playoffs. So, I mean, I can't imagine that that's part of the reason. Like, where are you going to put this team? I guess you could put them at Villanova Stadium. You know what I mean? Or you can put them across the river. You can make it not like the Camden team, you know what I mean, and play at Rutgers Stadium or something like that. So there was lots of different ways they could have done this. Like I said, I wouldn't have been surprised. Yeah, all right, we're not going to keep it in Seattle. We're going to move it to Portland. Portland, Oregon doesn't have, they've got a big football contingent up there with the Ducks and Oregon State. So it wouldn't be surprising to try to get them over there in Portland, Oregon. At least there now you got professional football there, like Albuquerque, New Mexico. You know what I mean? And put a team in Kentucky somewhere. You know what I mean? They ain't got no professional sports in Kentucky. So put it in Boise, Idaho. You know what I mean? There's people there that actually enjoy watching football and don't get to see professional games. They got to travel and do all that stuff. So it would make things a little bit easier if they did it, and put these extra teams in places that don't have teams.
Yeah, I just think they're definitely missing out on all of the Midwest. A lot of the Midwest, anyway.
Sure.
And like you said, the East Coast and the West Coast. I mean, at least on the East Coast, I guess you could gravitate towards DC if whatever. But you have nothing on the West, and you have nothing really in the Midwest, and so you're losing all of that.
Yeah. No,
somewhere out there's a guy in a cow field saying, I wish I had some football.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It feels a little short-sighted, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, you'll see. I won't see because I'm not going to pay attention even a little bit. Not interested.
We're going to hear about it mostly.
I guess we'll have to report on it some. You're like, hey, there was some football games, and whoever beat whoever, yay.
You know what? There's about as much interest in that as there is in the FCS championship game between Montana and South Dakota State. That's about how much interest level will be there.
No, that seems right.
I agree with that. Yeah, wholeheartedly, I agree with that. You know what I mean? I'd probably get more interested in watching esports. Two guys playing Rocket League. You know what I mean? Like that actually, when you watch that, that's actually a little bit more exciting than some stuff. And you wind up choosing a side.
A better chance at me watching cricket.
Yeah. You know why? Because some of those cricket matches can go on for weeks.
Right.
And you always get to stop for tea time. You always get to stop for tea. So if you're going to play cricket, get your tea ready. Let's go. And they tried to start a cricket league here in the U.S. and that fell by the wayside very, very quickly. I was like, I kind of got into it because it was going to happen. Like it was going to happen in North Jersey, and I'm like, you know what? I would start to get involved in that. I would start to see if Philadelphia could get a team, and we could try to make something happen. It's nope. Just.
I mean, if you want to start a new sport in the U.S., do a lacrosse team, a lacrosse league. Those dudes are freaking physical. I went to a couple of lacrosse games at the collegiate level, and it was pretty physical. A lot more.
Well, there is two lacrosse leagues. There is the inside, the National Lacrosse League, and then there's the NIL. I think it's but I don't know. Not the NIL, obviously, like you're paying the money, but that's where the Philadelphia Water Dogs have come from. But they have taken on the same type of, the way that they're doing things is similar to the way the USFL did things for year one.
Yeah.
Like they're going to have a bubble kind of and have everybody play in the bubble area, except the bubble's going to move from place to place. So you get to watch your teams do like a weekend style tournament. It's not even going to be a tournament. It's just like, hey, there's going to be a whole bunch of games that play for the weekend in your area. And then they're going to go to every other city that's on the mix. So you get 1 week out of the year that you're going to be able to watch your team. And then everything else is going to, from what I understand, be in an individual city. So, hey, I wish them the best of luck. I mean, I understand lacrosse is a good sport. I definitely like watching the Wings, the Philadelphia Wings, which is indoor lacrosse, which is very quick paced and fast moving. That's kind of fun. And especially now with arena leagues, I think arena leagues are really where it should be. That's really what makes the most amount of sense, I feel. But
that's a good point, though. I think arena leagues would be perfect for that.
So the thing that's funny about that is the AFL is supposed to launch this year. It was supposed to come back, and weirdly, like we've seen the teams get announced, but you can't actually get a hold of anybody, and you can't get a schedule for a league that's supposed to start in the next 60 days, I think. So I'm not convinced it's actually going to come back. Like it's their website's there, but there's no information. The team's websites are there, but there's no information. It's very weird. It's something that I've been looking at kind of closely because Seattle is supposed to get one of the AFL teams. And as it sits right now, there's no real information. You can't get a hold of anybody because I was going to try and get my media credentials for it because it's right here in Everett, Washington, which is, you know, a 30-minute drive for me. But so, yeah, it's supposed to come back, but everything that I've seen sure makes it look like it won't.
Yeah, they do have the website up. I'm looking here. It does have a countdown. It's like, hey, 57 days and 3 minutes and 55 seconds to kick off.
Yep.
Who's
I
going
mean,
to
at the very least, we think they'd have their merch line up where you could buy shirts or jerseys or whatever for your team so they can start making some money.
Oh, that's all coming soon. That's coming soon,
yes.
actually. The
no. You literally can't do anything for a league that's supposed to start in 2 months. It's very strange. You also can't buy tickets or anything.
That makes no sense. They'd say that they'd want to fill up their stadiums as soon as possible.
That's why I think it's really probably not coming back. It's probably one of those where they had a timeline, they had it worked out, and then financing fell apart, and they haven't taken anything down, but they're not moving forward. Now, this is speculation, right? Don't sue me. I don't know. But allegedly, right? So, yeah, no, it's one of those where it really looks like it's probably not coming back, even though all of their information says it is, until you start looking deeper and there's actually no information.
Right. Everything was announced on February 1, 2023.
Exactly.
And when you look for teams, nothing. When you look for schedule, nothing.
So
they have a countdown to kick off.
The thing that's funny about that is you can see the teams, not on their website, but if you go to Wikipedia on it, it'll give you the layout of the teams. So then if you go to, I forget what it was called for Seattle's team. It was like the Wolves or I don't know, something like that. And their countdown is a month behind the AFL's countdown. There's still no information. You still can't actually do anything on their website either. But they don't even have the same countdown set up. So the information for this AFL relaunch sure makes it look like this is not going to relaunch.
Well, and like I said, we're down to 57 days, 1 minute and 50 seconds. So I feel like we're counting down just the seconds like nobody's business over here, trying to make sure that we can be ready for the Arena Football League return. And they've got a lot of pictures of the Philadelphia Soul, which I heard that the Philadelphia would have a team. I just would not be the Soul. It would be something different. They're going to take out, they're going to remove anything with John Bon Jovi as part of this league. Because I think he was probably one of the best owners in the Arena Football League. I know I got season tickets that first year and got a free concert by John Bon Jovi because of it.
Sweet.
So, yeah, that was cool. I get to be like, yeah, I get to go see John, and we did win the cup eventually, not in that first season, but that was a championship that was won. And then, unfortunately, what eventually occurred was that Jaworski owned the entire league just about. He owned 4 of the 6 teams, which becomes a big conflict of interest, really. You can't really own 4 teams, but he was keeping the league afloat for as long as he could. And, ultimately they said, maybe it's best I just go back to golf courses over there, because that's Ron's big thing right now. He owns a lot of golf courses, and that's really kind of cool of him. So, but anyways, we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to go on a quick 2-minute break here to do our commercials and things like that, station identification, and we'll be back at the top of the hour to talk about who we're choosing to win in Week 18 of the NFL season. So we shall be back momentarily here. Stand by.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this.
Oh, I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn.
Hey, get it each.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
What's up? We are back for the second half of our show, Coast to Coast. And real quick, before we get moving on to our pick section, or our picks segment, I got sent a video a little bit earlier in the week. I did not load it up for here because it really wasn't meant for everybody's ears. But how about Vrabel coming in and just saying it sucks to lose? You know, you go look up those 4 words, it sucks to lose, and you'll get to see exactly what he said. I laughed at the video. I found it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the part that made me laugh the most was you could see Vrabes was mad after the question was asked, and then he goes right back at him's like, "Did you have another thought?" Like, soon as he said that, I started dying. Like, I was cracking up. I know I sent you the wrong clip because there's one that I edited, so you didn't hear him swearing. But yeah, I was dying. Like, soon as he was just like, "You got any other smart things to say?" Or like, "What are we doing?" Man,
But he did call him out. He did call that guy out by name, which probably gave some respect to him. Like he was being a smart ass, and it was funny that he was being a smart ass. But ultimately, it was, you know, I think it was done respectfully.
It definitely was. So that's actually the Titans beat writer that he was talking to. So he's there all the time. So they definitely have some sort of relationship, whether it's good or bad, they have one. So yeah, that's how that was called out the way it was. You know, if you watched the Pat McAfee show, they even kind of alluded to that in the way that, you know, he must have some relationship, whether it's good or bad. Like there's a relationship there. And so when I had to look up who he was, because I had no idea, it was Gentry Estes. He's one of the beat writers for the Titans. So he's got to be around the team all the time.
I did not see this. I'm gonna have to. I guess I'm out of the loop. I didn't get that video clip. I'm gonna go back and review it.
Oh yeah, it's in our chat.
Yes, it's in our chat. Definitely go take a look. It's a 5-minute long video. It is hysterical. I mean, at least I watched the first minute or so, and it was just like, yeah, that is kind of funny. You know, it's just, but it's, you know, it reminded me a little bit of Jim Mora. You know, in playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah,
we
no, that
couldn't
was good.
do diddly poo. You know what I mean?
You know, no, and it's funny because Dan Campbell actually had a similar soundbite this week where he was on a radio show, right? And he was getting asked about going for it on the, for the 2-point conversion from the 7 after the penalty, right? And he goes right back at the host, and he's just like, just ask me what you want to ask, right? He's like, we're here, we're on the radio, just talk to me like you talk to anybody else. Ask me what you want to ask. And the host was just like, yeah, I think it was reckless. And he's like, thank you. He's like, that's all I'm looking for. Just say what you want to say. So, I mean, I love Campbell and Vrabel for the fact that they're one of the very few coaches that you can get to say something real, right? It's not just nonstop coach speak and, every cliche you could potentially put out there. It's not the standard, we have to do better, I have to do better. That's one of my least favorite like sound bites you get from players or coaches, really, because, when you're either interviewing or you're watching, you're just like, well, yeah, no kidding, we got to do better. I don't care about you saying, oh, we got to do better. Like, tell me how we're going to do better, right? Like, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear a plan. I don't want you to just be like, yeah, we got to do better. It's like, well, no kidding, I watched the game too. Like, what are we talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. And you see a lot of that from coaches.
I literally just watched that, and I love his head bobble movements. It's just,
oh yeah, right. He's just like soon as he gets done talking, he's just sitting there like, I hate this guy. Like, what do we do? And then he turns back and he's like, did you have another thought? It's just like,
well, hey, it does suck to lose, though.
It does suck to lose. That is an absolute thing. So ultimately, I can understand where he's coming from. Especially this season. Obviously, he's used to being in the playoffs. He's used to having his team perform better. They definitely underperformed this year. So he absolutely was in the right state of mind to say, hey, I think that this team, I think it sucks. This absolutely sucks. I want to win. I came here to win. When we're not winning, and he went into details saying, hey, listen, these guys worked their asses off. And, to not win after putting in all this work really sucks because you feel like you're doing it for nothing. And that's, I get that. I can appreciate that. So
I just wonder how long is it going to be before Derrick Henry's on the block and out there waiting for another team. I got to imagine it's getting close.
That all is definitely coming. It is kind of cool though. So the writer, right? He came out with a post on Twitter after the fact, and it says Mike Vrabel got riled up today, and it was actually one of the more genuinely insightful moments of this Titans season. So I mean, clearly there's a relationship between these two guys. For him to then turn around, and then I think it was the next day, or maybe it was Wednesday, that Vrabel comes out and he's just like, yeah, sorry. Like, so it was a good exchange overall for sure. But
I think it was real, and I think when you actually have real moments, you don't have to do any reporting on it because it shows. Real moments show for real. You know what I mean? Yep. So yeah, he had a moment where it's like, yeah, it friggin' sucks. It sucks to lose, and we all feel that way. We don't want to lose. It's like you could ask. You could ask the 4 million Eagles fans who live in Philadelphia how they feel about this team. You know what I mean? It sucks to lose. It sucks to be where you're feeling right now. You know what I mean? And I got to imagine as a coach, somebody who is spending every waking moment on this team, trying to make sure that he is doing whatever he can to get to the playoffs, and then not getting to the playoffs. It's like, yeah, I just put in all this work, and what do I got to show for it? Nothing. I got a smart ass reporter
right?
asking me questions, and but I mean, it's not really like that either. I mean, because obviously he does have a good relationship with them, or else he
But you
wouldn't.
do know you're going to get asked certain things. Even when you lose, you're going to get at that press conference. It's their job to ask those questions, whether that coach likes it or not. I mean, that's their job. If he's not asking the question, he's probably going to get fired for not doing his job because he's going to ask questions that we want to know about, but he don't want to tell about.
Yeah. Well, and he did actively avoid some conversations during that press conference. So I went back and ended up watching the whole thing. And basically, any questions that were about either players that are going to be moving on or, whether or not he's going to keep his job or any of that, those came up a few times during it. And he basically said, we'll have time to reflect on things after this next game, but we're worried about this next game. So he did channel his inner Belichick for part of it, right? Being like, we only care about the Jaguars this week, right? And
Right.
but I mean, they're real questions, obviously. Derrick Henry's probably gone. Tannehill obviously is gone. D-Hop had a 1-year deal. So they got major components leaving. And, whether or not he keeps his job is a real question. So it's a fair thing for them, the reporters to ask. But at the same time, I get why he wasn't trying to answer that question at the moment.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I don't see him losing his job. He may want to resign, you know what I mean, and want another job, but I don't see him losing his job. I think that he's done enough with that organization. I mean, he's brought them at least a few steps further than Jeff Fisher did. You know what I mean? And Jeff Fisher was there forever. You know what I mean?
I mean, that goes back to the Oiler days.
Right, but I'm saying, I mean, really, since it's been Jeff Fisher and him, though.
Oh, absolutely.
They haven't done anything else. So it wouldn't be surprising to me. Like I said, I think that his attitude's the right attitude. I think he likes his players like to play for him. So I can't imagine that that's the issue. Like, I think he had a down year, and I think that his weapons got old.
Right.
And that's really what it came down to. Age caught up.
The other thing that's funny about it is, going into this season, it was a comparison that I made going in. Like, I really didn't think they were going to be wildly successful this year anyway, because before they went and got D-Hop, Vrabel had about as many receptions as his entire receiving room. He played defense, right?
Yeah.
Like, so,
and I really don't think, and the thing is, I don't even think behind Tannehill, when they get rid of Tannehill, I don't think Will Levis and the other guy, Willis, whatever his name is, I don't think either one of those two guys are the right guy to take over that team. So I still think they're going to be searching for a while before they get that actual field general that can move this team forward.
I think Levis has a better chance than Willis does, but I mean, they need a better offensive line. They need some actual weapons. I mean, there's a lot of holes they got to plug on this team. And clearly they're going to need a running back. They're not going to bring Henry back. Plus, Henry hasn't been consistent, right? So, I mean, I feel like there's going to be a lot of moving parts. So if they were going to move on from Vrabel, this is that moment, right? Because you're already kind of blowing things up. But at the same time, there's going to be 10 other vacancies. What coach are you going to get?
Yeah, and that's the hard part. So I think that, I mean, and plus, he would be a hot commodity for any other team.
For sure.
In my opinion. So my expectation is that he will not move. I also will put it out there in terms of where I think somebody may land. Look for Saquon Barkley, possibly, to wind up with the Titans, because I feel like that would be.
You don't think they're going to tag Barkley?
I don't know. I mean, obviously he fought the tag this year. And then they gave him the contract.
Well,
so
exactly. So, but they basically gave him the tag with a little bit more guarantee. But the thing that opens up to it is it's the first tag again, because he didn't take the tag. It was technically a contract. So, I mean, they could potentially tag him for that same money if they wanted to. I don't think they do. I think it'd be a really bad decision. But they definitely have some much bigger issues to figure out, like quarterback and offensive line. But
absolutely, and wide receiver too. They really still don't have a wide receiver one.
Right.
Yeah. So
I mean, it wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, I feel like that offense, his offense, is predicated off of the run game. And that he needs that type of back, and that would be like that's Saquon Barkley. Like Saquon Barkley is that type of back. He is, a more injury-prone version of Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, he's got hurt
a little smaller, but yeah.
A lot smaller, yeah. But no, I mean, like Henry's gotten hurt the last 2 years too. So I mean, it's not like I don't think they would make that move. I think they'd be looking for a guy in the draft probably, just because I don't see that you would get rid of a older running back that's had some injuries for another older running back that has some injuries. I mean, at that point, you might as well stick with Henry. So this one looks more like they're going to try and draft a running back or get like a lower tier guy, get a little bit better at the offensive line, and then probably double down behind Levis, because Levis can throw the ball, right? So if they wanted to make that switch to an offensive, receiving type of team that the league is really gearing towards anyway, I think Levis can do it, but you got to protect him. He doesn't do great things off schedule, right? Like he needs to be able to be protected.
Right. All right. So, but I definitely wanted to bring that up to you guys because it was just too funny not to. So, let's get to the picks segment. We're going to talk about the NFL picks for this week, and we're going to start with Saturday's game. Saturday, the Pittsburgh Steelers go to Baltimore to face the Ravens. The Steelers are a 3-point favorite with the over-under being 34.5.
Ooh, it's come down
from 35.5.
No, yesterday CBS Sports app had it at 36.5, and the Steelers were a 4-point. So people are putting money on putting money on them.
Well, yeah, when the Ravens are sitting
down here, it's 3.5. It was 3.5 and 36.5. So I have it at 3 and 34.5. So right. when I put this up originally. All right.
I mean, when the Ravens are sitting there sitting people, of course it's going to go up. I mean, they have no reason to play that game.
Well, I thought that there would be a bigger line for Pittsburgh, but again,
I agree. Especially when Jackson wasn't playing, I definitely thought there would be a bigger line.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that Pittsburgh can't score points either.
Exactly.
I mean, they did just put 30 points on Seattle, though.
Well, we can't play defense, so the Hawks were out there playing two-hand touch. They didn't want to tackle anybody.
And I do think that this team under Mason Rudolph, especially with Pickens truly now being a beneficiary of Mason Rudolph, I think they're it's going to be a little bit more than what they had, because Kenny Pickett would hardly ever throw to Pickens.
Well, and even when he did, it wasn't on target. So
absolutely.
Unless he was making some spectacular catch, it wasn't coming in. But yeah, I mean, this is a game I've gone back and forth on. I actually kind of feel like the Ravens might still pull this thing out in a way where just because they don't want to see Pittsburgh in the playoffs. And Huntley can win a game, and it's not like that Ravens defense is bad. Like, they got a good defense. So, and most of their defensive players are still going to play. This is one where I've really gone back and forth over the last couple of days watching, everybody that's sitting, and I still kind of lean towards the Ravens winning outright.
Who you putting your money on? That's what really matters. That's where it really brings your true thoughts come to mind.
I ain't putting money on this game. in this particular week, there's only a couple of games that I would actually put money on, and this ain't one of them.
I don't know. I think I might actually. I wouldn't mind throwing a little money on the Steelers. I do believe that they're going to win that game, and I think.
You think they cover?
Like I said, they have everything to fight for right now, and the Ravens don't. So, and the Ravens are sitting people. So I don't see why, putting money on there would be a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, but the Ravens are so much deeper, right? Like even their second tier guys are good.
Yeah, but I think the Steelers could take that. I think they could take the second tier guys. I understand where you're coming from. Yep. But I put it this way: I'd put money on this game before I put money on the Buffalo-Miami game. Let's just put it that way.
They both need that game. That one's going to be fun to watch.
I mean, that's the game I'm not putting money on, but yeah.
All right, so you're saying Steelers, you're saying Ravens. I'm going Steelers as well. So, the 8:00 game on Saturday, the Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts.
That's going to be I think that'll be a good game, honestly.
They both need it.
Yeah, they absolutely both need it.
So point spread went up for Houston. It's now 1.5.
Okay.
And it's still at 47.5 is the over and under.
Okay. Yeah, so I got the Texans here. I like Stroud better than Minshew. And I think it's the under, though. I think it's the under.
Well, and I just honestly like D'Amico Ryans more than I do Steichen over there with the Colts. I like D'Amico. I like what he's doing with his team. I like the connection he has with his players. I like what he's able to get from his players. And that Texans team is slowly building momentum. And I think Stroud doesn't go down earlier this season. I don't think the Texans are in the situation they're in. I think they could have won a couple of more of those games.
Yeah.
It's possible. I think that the Colts, for some reason or another, have the Texans' number. They're able to go ahead and play them. I think Steichen actually knows how to go up against this team. And I think the Colts pull it off. Minshew Mania is going wild in Indianapolis.
Well, it's never went wild in the fantasy world, so I guess it better be going wild somewhere else.
Well, hey, listen, you should understand about facial hair and how important it is. Because I heard if you shaved your beard, you're one ugly SOB. So
you know what they say, man? The ugly guys get the awesome looking chicks, so I'll take it. That's all what it is.
Do they?
Yeah. I guarantee it's true, and I never thought, but I will say this, the only downside for Texans is I really wish the only thing that's really hurt them is that there's the injuries they've sustained at the wide receiver spot. I mean, Collins has kind of stepped up to take some of that load, but man, you know, with the other guys going down, with Tank Dell going down and stuff, I mean, that really has hurt them. I think if they had a full accoutrement of wide receivers, I mean, that's a tough team.
I understand that, but I think that, like I said, I think that I like that the turnaround of what they did. I feel that he set the foundation for next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd be absolutely afraid of them. I just don't think that they have enough this year to make it occur.
Yeah, for D'Amico now, it's just a matter of plugging the other small pieces that he needs. Maybe a little bit on defense, maybe that offensive line. I mean, he's just got some small pieces to plug in. And like you said, I think they are going to be a team to reckon with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they overachieved already. This is one where at the beginning of the year, I thought they were going to be an 8-win team, maybe 7-8 wins, miss the playoffs, but have something where, you know, they beat some teams that are surprising and they lose to some teams that are surprising just because of how young they were. But I mean, they put a good product on the field. I think another offseason, they're going to be a real problem.
Which is crazy to me because I never would have put money on an Ohio State quarterback, and Stroud is actually the first quarterback that's broke that mold for me.
Yeah, he's balled out, no doubt.
I agree. So, moving on to Sunday's games. Here's an important one: the Atlanta Falcons traveling to New Orleans. It's a 3-point game. New Orleans is a 3-point favorite, and over/under at 42.5.
Yeah, I got the Saints here. I got it's a big game for them. They need it. I mean, the Falcons do too, but they have like They have a weird way to get there, whereas the Saints, they win and they're in. I think they finally show up for a game.
The Saints are not winning in.
Oh no, I guess they do need a couple. They need what they need to win, and they need
Tampa Bay to lose.
Tampa Bay to lose. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I will say this.
There is the weird mix of if they could get in, if Minnesota, Green Bay, and Seattle all lose, they could backdoor in that way with the win. But other than that, that's not really feasible. I think that they have to win. They need Tampa Bay to lose. So but it's a 3-point. I think the Saints win this game too. Yeah,
I think the Saints win this game easily. I mean, look, if you don't have a field general, how are you going to win? I mean, I think we've seen that time and time again with Atlanta. They just don't have a guy that can carry that team. Ritter ain't going to do it. Heineke ain't going to do it. Carr's doing good. Olave's doing good. Kamara's doing well. I mean, the Saints team or the Falcons team, neither one of these guys are going to do a damn thing. But in this specific game here, the Saints are going to win that.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's going to take a lot of other stuff for them to even think about the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Practice.
So next one on the list, the Jacksonville Jaguars and I really hate to lose Tennessee Titans. Jaguars are a 3.5-point favorite and with an over/under of 41.5.
Yeah, I got the Jags here.
And Lawrence is back in. Like, Lawrence isn't out, correct? I mean, he's actually back with the team, correct?
Yeah.
He's got to play.
Yeah, that's definitely a Jaguars win. And I don't even think that's a close call.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the case too. That they blow them out because if the Jaguars win, they win the division. That's right up his alley, and I think the Jaguars could be a sleeper pick to make it to the AFC Championship game. It's just my opinion. I think that they have enough to be able to do it. I don't know if they will, but it is a sleeper pick. I think to make it.
Did they add some people on defense or something like what?
I think it just if they can just get a good game out of Ridley and Kirk, and if Etienne can continue to do what he's doing, they won't razzle dazzle you on the defense. But if they can get enough offense. It's almost like a Washington Huskies. The Huskies don't really have a great defense, but they just got so much in that damn offense, and it overcompensates for a lot of that.
Yeah.
So we are worldwide here. I know
awesome.
that Eves is a Seahawks fan.
Nice.
God, if only you could get us some waffles, that'd be great.
I'd be in on that.
Jeez, man.
I like waffles too. I have a Belgian waffle maker here, in fact. So.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hey, if you had a Belgian waffle maker,
I can make my own Belgian waffles. I don't need yours to have them ship them over.
Then I'm on my way. If you're already making waffles, I'm on my way.
Perfect.
Hey, listen, I'll bring the chicken, and we'll do some chicken and waffles, man.
All right, I'm in.
Waffles, beer, and chocolate. That's there we are. Perfect.
There we
Waffles,
go.
Beer, and chocolates.
I'm in.
Can't go wrong with
Do
that.
this.
No, you cannot. You cannot go with that.
All right, so here we go. Next game, Minnesota Vikings traveling to Detroit to play the Lions. Lions are a 3.5-point favorite, and the over/under at 45.5.
And they're playing everyone. So it's going to be Goff up against Nick Mullins. This is an easy pick for me on the Lions.
Yeah, I echo that. I think if the Lions would have sat people, then I could say Vikings. But because of that, this is definitely going to be an easy one for them. Absolutely.
Yeah. I kind of think that they want to try to still.
And it's in Detroit, so.
Yeah, they're trying to hope that Dallas loses. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start everybody and then after the first quarter they pull everybody out. It's a 1:00 game, so they're not going to be able to scoreboard watch the Cowboys because they played 4. So it's not going to be as simple as that. They'll watch afterwards, obviously, but I think that the Lions are going to get out to a lead and then just sit everybody. And I think the Vikings are going to be, I know that they have like an outside chance to make the playoffs, but it's so remotely
way outside.
Yeah, I don't see it occurring.
That's
So-
that's another movie right there. Just a bit outside, like that's that is their
Exactly.
chance.
And the toilet bowl game of the week, the
Jets
New York Jets, and going out to New England to the largest lighthouse in the country at Patriot Park or whatever it is, whatever they call it up there, Gillette Stadium.
Gillette, yep.
Yeah, the Patriots are a 2-point favorite, and the over-under is 30.5.
Oh, Jesus.
So this is Simeon and Zappy. So this is the biggest dumpster bowl possible. I do think the Pats are probably the ones that win. It'll be the under, though. 30 is laughable with these two guys. This looks more like a 13-10 just garbage.
That's what I was leaning towards, 13-10, somewhere in that neighborhood. And yeah, I think Zappy, even though both these quarterbacks are horrible, I think Zappy is a little bit better of the quarterbacks. So, and I think his momentum is a little bit better than what the Jets got going on. So I'm going to go with the Patriots as well.
And the Pats actually have a decent defense also. So it's not like have an amazing defense and the Pats don't.
And I think Belichick wants to go out a winner. He doesn't want to lead the Patriots, his last game with the Patriots as a loss. So, yeah, I think Bill has a little bit left in the tank to play for.
I'll be honest. I think that you guys gave them too much credit by putting down touchdowns, that these teams are going to score touchdowns. The one bet that I would make is that the over-under on touchdowns being less than 1.5 for both teams.
I got Douglas getting one in the end zone. I think Douglas can score one.
Maybe one team can score a touchdown, one touchdown. That's it. I could see this game ending like 10-9.
Okay.
I'm not going to fight you on that.
The missed field goal be and lose on a missed field goal that would have made it 12-9 or 12-10.
Yeah, I mean,
because also, I mean, the winner of this game loses ground in the draft right now. So it's like obviously there would be, when you think about that, that's like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 picks, like 3 or 4.
On that front, Belichick is trying to win because he's done after this season and he wants to give that little pound.
That last little dig in the thing, man.
Right?
Yeah. But in all honesty, in that mock draft I did, I actually had the Patriots trading up for a quarterback. So if they kind of slid down a little bit, I still think they trade up and grab somebody.
They could very well do it. I don't know. And that's still undecided whether Belichick is leaving or not. I think that I still think that's 50-50. I think he may want to stick around for one more year just for the hell of it.
Well, based on
his choice, what if Rob? Isn't Rob kind of ready to say, "Yo, Bill, I think it's time to go"?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what was leaked out, right? Was that this was going to be his last year, and that was decided on Kraft's side, not on Bill's side. So if that actually comes together, then we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, everything that was released, I guess 4 weeks ago now, sure made it look like this is it.
I think Robert Kraft gives Bill Belichick a really nice company watch and says, "Have a nice day."
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think the Jets or the Patriots win this game?
Pats.
Go on ahead, say Jets, so we can talk to you about this later.
I got the Jets actually. I think the Jets win, and that touchdown is a defensive touchdown.
I'm with it. That could absolutely happen.
Oh my goodness!
Next game,
maybe it's going to be a special teams run back. Maybe I don't know.
That
could be, but
yeah, I could see.
Yeah, no, their special teams aren't so great for either one of those teams. So
but they're not great on either side. The coverage team isn't good either. So they're.
And there we go. Next game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Carolina to face off against the number 1 pick on the draft. Oh, that's right. They don't have that pick. Panthers. Buccaneers 4.5-point favorite and a 37.5 over under.
This one's easy. This is the Bucks.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The Panthers have mailed it in. They're done.
Yeah, I see the Buccaneers winning it, and I see about 4 drinks from Tepper going into the audience.
Right.
You have 300,000, and you have 300,000, and you have 300,000.
Everybody has 300,000. He goes, Tepper said,
"You too, Toto."
He's just going to turn the sprinklers on, the fire sprinklers on, about the third quarter. Get everybody out of the stadium. Just call it a day.
Hey, listen. At least he wouldn't be like Dan for the Washington, where he just didn't pay the water bill, and all of a sudden just have people flush right on the. Saying that stadium's a piece of work. Let me tell you,
definitely is.
So everybody thinking the Bucks there, which makes sense to me. Next game, last 1:00 game, the Cleveland Browns going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are a 7-point favorite with the over-under being 37.5.
I'm definitely going Cleveland on that. I feel like, Flacco's got a really nice momentum building with that team, and they're looking really good on the defensive side with Garrett and company. So I'm going to go. I'm still taking Cleveland.
Flacco's not playing.
Flacco's not playing.
Oh, Flacco's not playing in that game?
No.
Oh, he's sitting?
It's Driscoll versus Browning. So I'm taking the Bengals here.
Yeah, let me go ahead and reverse that. Then if he's not playing, then yeah, I'm gonna go Bengals.
Yeah, Browning is better than Driscoll. So, yeah.
Driscoll. I don't know if the guy who has the last name Driscoll. I don't trust him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust him.
No, this is honestly, this is the hardest week of Pick'em, just in general, because so many people are either sitting or they're hurt, or you have like weird spoiler scenarios. Because like the Bears are going to get up for this game, right? Because they want to just wreck Green Bay, things like that. So it's such a hard week.
Agreed. I think that the Browns actually could win this game, and by defense alone, just because I think that the Bengals are also probably they can't do anything. It doesn't matter if they win this game or not. I mean, I think if it, all it would do would give them a winning record for the season. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ended in a tie. It's always the Bengals that tie.
Yeah,
always seems to be the Bengals. So not that the Browns are, I wouldn't be surprised if this game ended in a tie.
So what are you thinking? Like 6-6? They each get a couple field goals.
Yeah, like 13-13. Something like that. And actually, they both kick field goals in overtime to make it 16-16.
That would be hilarious.
That would be. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at with that. It's a meh game. All right, now to the 4:00 games. The first one, the Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to Arizona. Seahawks are a 3-point favorite and 47.5, holding on to their playoff lives.
Yeah, I mean, this one I think Seattle gets done. Arizona, albeit a very scrappy team, they played, well above their roster. Looks like they should play, but at the end of the day, this is a spoiler situation for them. This is a win and hope situation for the Hawks. So I'm going to go with the Hawks win. They'll cover because, a field goal. I'll generally take a field goal. And over under 47.5. I'll take the over because neither one of these teams like to play defense, and neither one likes to tackle. So it's a lot of two-hand touch and let people score. So this could be one of those games where it's both teams are right around 30 points. And but I think Seattle gets it done.
If this is an Arizona team that played Dallas and Philly, I might be inclined to go with Arizona at this point. But I don't think – I think, like you said, I think you made a good point. Seattle knows they're playing for their playoff lives. The game is in Arizona, but I think the Seahawks are really going to be geared up for this game. They know what's at stake. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Seattle just based on that idea alone. I'm going to go with Seattle. And I think Metcalf, they have a pretty good wide receiver lock. They have a pretty good wide receiving core. I think Walker the third really has to come in and establish himself in this game and get that run game established.
Yeah, so that'll be a bit of a challenge because he's still dealing with a shoulder issue.
Exactly. Or maybe do you set Walker? I don't think you can, but.
Well, Walker will still play, right? Because this is a game that you got to have. But, they're going to have to lean in on Charbonnet really showing out. So, we'll see. But, at the end of the day, you still have DK and JSN, which are a couple of the faster receivers in the league. So,
yeah,
they definitely will have opportunities to put up points. And since neither team is great on defense, I think it'll be a fun game to watch.
Well, for you, because I'll be watching another game. But that's
sure.
Yeah, that's not.
I just mean it'll be a competitive game.
There you go. And you know what? It looks like I will not be getting any waffles since I actually think the Cardinals could actually stand a chance here. So, no waffles for me.
Well, it's a good thing you have your own waffle maker then.
No, yeah, that's exactly correct. The other game that's happening in the West, the LA Rams are going to the 49ers. 49ers are a 4-point favorite. It's Wentz versus Darnold.
Yep. So it's the Eagles.
And no McCaffrey either.
Yeah, CMC's done. Yep.
Oh, that could be good.
Yeah.
Are the Rams fully in? They are fully in, correct?
Correct.
They are.
Yeah. So
they can't move from where they are. They are locked in.
Really, neither one of these teams is really fighting for anything, honestly.
Nope.
And it's in San Fran too. God, that's gonna be. That's going back to what you said earlier about hard games to call because.
Well, yeah, because nobody's playing, right?
There's nothing on the line. There's nobody playing. It's like
this is like picking preseason right now.
Yeah, this is a game I'm definitely not betting on. Let's put it that way.
For sure. I'll take San Fran though. They have better depth.
Especially on that defensive side.
They're not deep, and so I'm going to go with if the Rams are sitting starters, they don't have guys behind them. So this is
really down. They really down.
The Niners should be better.
And the Rams don't have the opportunity. If they were to lose, they actually would fall to the 7 seed, depending on if the Packers win.
Yeah, so if the Packers win, they become the 7. In any other scenario, they're still the 6, because even if Seattle wins, they lose, and Seattle finds a way there, the head-to-head matchup puts the Rams ahead of them since they beat them twice. So yeah, I mean, but no matter what happens, they're in the playoffs. So, they're either going to see they'll either see the Lions or they'll see, whoever.
Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
Or the Eagles by chance, I guess.
Yeah, there's an outside chance. Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm definitely going to go with, like you said, and I really agree with that because it is in San Fran, number 1, and number 2, the depth and especially depth on defensive side of the ball for the 49ers. I'm going to go Niners on that one as well.
I kind of agree as well, although I do like the idea. I think Wentz does have some stuff left in the tank, and he's going to try to ball out as best as possible. So it'll be interesting to kind of watch that game, but I do think the 49ers will win that just on defense alone. So I would definitely go under on that one.
Yeah.
The game where that's going to mean most to Seahawks fans, the Chicago Seahawks going up against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are a 3-point favorite, and it's 45.5. I heard that the Bears are wearing the Seahawks colors just to be able to.
He said all their undergarments are Seahawks, and the outer garments are Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I have the Bears here in the upset for no other reason.
Me too.
They're coming to town. They want to dunk on this team, right? They want to keep them out of the playoffs. They want to end this "you own us" crap, right? Like this is their way of saying, hey, no, we're no longer your little brother. We're going to keep you out of the playoffs. We're going to do what the Lions did to you last year, and stop this losing streak against Green Bay. So they have a lot to play for without having a lot to play for.
Yeah, one of the things I like about Chicago is, like you said, a team that has a chip on their shoulder can be really dangerous.
Absolutely.
Number one. Number two, with the addition of Montez Sweat on that defense, I love that guy. I think he's the guy that can disrupt Jordan Love a little bit. And then again, for me, one of the biggest things is they have to get Herbert up and going and get him like that last game. He put up 134 yards. If they get some kind of production out of him and along those lines, then it really opens it up for for the wide receivers and company. So yeah, I'm gonna go Browns. I'm gonna go Bears in the upset, sporting Speedos that say Seahawks.
I keep thinking about this in terms of that the Packers are they're the youngest team out there. I think that they actually get it done, that Jordan Love brings them to the playoffs. And then it's going to be very short-lived there in the playoffs, but he's going to bring them to the playoffs. And they're going to beat the Bears here, and they're going to keep owning the Bears as much as possible. And I wouldn't be surprised, though, if the Bears have a final drive and they blow it in the end. And it's going to be one of those situations where the Bears, like, if he made it and won the game, they would keep the quarterback, but he didn't make it, and it was a bonehead play, and that's the final straw that breaks the camel's back to get a new quarterback for the Bears.
So they're going to charger it, is what you're saying. I got you.
Exactly. Call the timeout in overtime. So I'm sorry, Eves. I love you just the same. I just know that you guys should have won a couple of more games this year. All right. The Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. They're in Las Vegas. Vegas is a 3-point favorite, and the over-under is 37.5, and 7-game winning streak over the Broncos.
I think it continues. I like O'Connell more than Stidham, and there's so much chaos going around that Broncos sideline at this point between just the now public battle between Russ and Peyton and just the weirdness that's around that team. I think that'll be enough of a distraction for Oakland or Vegas to win at home. So yeah, I'm gonna go Raiders here. Rod Farva, leads them to a win.
Yeah, I think the dissension in the Raiders happened a long time ago, and they dealt with it with McDaniels and company. So now that he's out of there, they've been a little bit more stable as a team. Their chemistry is a little bit more stable than with the Broncos. Like you said, you just really benched your starting quarterback. There's a lot of dissension. Like you said, there's a lot of uncertainties. And anytime a team has uncertainties, I get skeptical with that. And so for those reasons, I am going to go with the Raiders. Max Crosby, could it be his last game? Could he be trade bait for a number 1 pick next year when they're looking for a quarterback? Could Max Crosby be a Chicago Bear and team up with Montez Sweat and company? So could this be Crosby's last hurrah in a Raiders uniform? And for those reasons, I think he wants to go out on top with the Raiders. So I'm going Raiders.
I think the Raiders here too. The inmates now run that asylum, over there in Las Vegas. The players took over the team. That just shows me, like, the coaches have a little bit of input, but the players are actually running that team right now.
And they play better, so
which is par for course, really. With as far as I said, that's a ridiculous franchise anymore, starting from the hairdresser of the owner on down. You know what I
mean? Hey, wait a minute. I like Mark Davis's hair. What's wrong with his hair? They got the same one as Donald Trump uses. I think they share the hairdresser.
Hey,
I don't think so. I think he has the bowl.
I can't even hate on him that much. I just wish I still had more of it.
Yeah. So does Pags.
Oh no, my hair grows like weeds. I gotta bick it every other day, or else it gets too wild up here.
I don't
So
know. We got a similar haircut. Mine's just not on purpose.
yeah, exactly. The other game out west, the Chiefs versus the Chargers. Chargers at 3.5 point favorite because I feel like the Chiefs are probably sitting everybody.
So this is hilarious because this is Blaine Gabbert against Easton Stick. This is another one where you're just like, who's even playing in this game? You're not going to have anybody on either side. This is another one I've gone back and forth on. I still think KC is going to do it because their defense is better. They don't play offense very well, so there's that. But
Yeah, I could go that route. I mean, I think again, this is a meh game to me.
Yep.
Like I don't care. Yeah, it's like who can really get? The only reason why it's a 4 o'clock game is because it's outdoor in the West Coast. They don't want to play a game at 9 o'clock in the morning. So
I always said anytime an athlete gets involved with a celebrity, aka Taylor Swift, aka quarter, who was that? Tony Romo had that one. It was a Christina Aguilera and all them, and then you got the Kardashians and what they've done to all the. It never, ever works out well for that team, and for those reasons, I do think the Chiefs still win. But at the end of the day, man, Taylor Swift is the kryptonite to the Chiefs. And now I firmly believe that Travis Kelce, I'm going to say it on national, Travis Kelce, you are now the official jabroni.
Oh, hilarious. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to play anyway. So
he doesn't have to play. He doesn't have to play. Because when he plays in the playoffs and he's still with Taylor Swift, yeah, sure. He's a jabroni.
So I guess at that point we got to look at. Do you think Wilson will retire after the season? Definitely not.
No, I don't think so either. No, I also agree with that he will not.
No, there's too much money on the table.
All right, one of the last two games, Dallas Cowboys are traveling over to Washington, 13-point favorites, 46.5 over under.
Yeah, I mean, this is one where everybody's playing for the Cowboys, and they're going to smack a terrible Washington team that loses their coach on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, obviously me and Pags are trying to battle it out for who's going to get that division. And I don't think that the Cowboys want to give up that number 2 spot. So for that reason, I absolutely have the – and if the Cowboys were to lose to Washington, okay, I'm just going to turn it off and root for somebody else because at that point – we don't deserve to be in the playoffs to begin with. I'm just going to tell you, if Pags loses to the Giants, he don't deserve the playoffs. If I lose to the Commanders, we damn it. I mean, we just don't deserve those kinds of those accolades when we're losing to teams that, by all means, are complete 100% dumpster fire rebuilds.
That being said, if both of those things happen, I am 100% bringing popcorn to the show Monday morning because this is about to be fun.
Exactly. So I actually would take the Commanders here with the points. 13 points is a lot of points.
It is a lot of points.
I think I would take them with the points. I feel like Dallas is going to get up in this game. They are going to start to pull some of their people off and then Washington's going to try to make a feeble attempt to come back, and it's going to be like a 12-point game. Like I think that's going to be they're going to kick a field goal when they should be going for a touchdown, and that's going to get it within 12 points. And, it's just going to screw everybody who thought they should pick Dallas. The other game in the NFC East, the Eagles traveling to New York to maybe very snowy, very rainy. We don't know. Just ugly weather, New York Giants team. Eagles are a 5.5-point favorite, and over under is 41.5. Now, I will say this before you guys get started. Every time I see a 5.5-point favorite, that team loses. Just being honest. Some reason or another, 5.5 is a weirdo spread. And when your team is a favorite by 5.5, bet the other side money line. Just my opinion. So that number's got to change before Sunday. If it doesn't, I'm saying that the Eagles are going to rest everybody and the Giants are going to win.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the Eagles are still going to try for this because I think the Eagles are maybe counting on a possibility that Dallas does something stupid like has happened in the past and they wind up with. I still think they want to fight for that spot. If nothing else, I mean, this is a momentum builder for these guys going into the playoffs. I don't know any team that wants to go into the playoffs, when they're battling for a division number one that wants to put them in themselves to go into a playoffs on a loss. I would not want to go into a playoffs on a loss. That's just a horrible way to enter competitive competition. So for those reasons, I still think the Eagles do it. And I honestly think that the Giants really don't want to win this game. I think they want to lose it because they really have got to address that quarterback. And I think they are in the top 10 in the draft. And I think they really want to try to move up and get as close to that one spot to get the guy that's going to eventually or will replace Daniel Jones, DeVito, and Tyrod Taylor all wrapped up into one big ugly burrito.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you, right? Because they don't get a score watch, right? They're playing at the same time. So they're going to have everybody out there. They want to win. They'll hope for Washington to do something. And, I'm with you there. I got the Eagles to win this, but I think they're really going to try and play this game to try and hopefully get that spot back, get the division back. But obviously they need Washington to show up too.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll be at the game. So, and Eves, thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Our international fan base out there is awesome to always see you. Last game on the dock at the 8 o'clock. The win and in Buffalo Bills, 2.5-point favorite over the Miami Dolphins. Already in, but want the number 2 seed. Go.
Yeah, I think we almost kind of covered this earlier. So I don't expect anybody's opinions to change. Obviously, with the injuries that the Dolphins have sustained, the Bills wanting to be that top dog, I just don't see it happening for Miami. I just don't. Not when you lose Chubb and Howard, which are your two biggest guys. And when you lose those kind of guys, it makes it easier for Allen. He doesn't have to worry about Chubb being in there trying to get to him. And when you got Howard out there, it makes it easier on Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, or whoever else that third option is to get the ball. The only thing, and again, Von Miller's playing, so I fully expect that defense to put the pressure on him. So for those reasons, and Tyreek Hill's in a boot, and somebody apparently doesn't know how to play with matches nicely. So for those reasons and all those reasons, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills grabbing that division and that spot.
Yeah, and I'm in the same way because the Dolphins have a ton of injuries. Like, they're hurt all over the place. So I'm going to go with the Bills. They get the win. Obviously they don't want to miss the playoffs, so they definitely want to, get this W anyway. So this is one where I think as beat up as the Dolphins are, that's probably really the difference. And the Bills get it done.
Hey, real quick, before Paz goes, I just want to say, Paz, I'm going to put this out there for everybody to hear. If the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles happen to meet in the playoffs, I think the winner should get the opposing team's logo on their butt tattooed.
You can get whatever you want on your butt. You know what I mean?
Right?
I ain't having nobody touch my butt except any woman that I want that to. So nobody else is going to.
Okay, we'll go forearm, man. If that's how you feel about it, it's okay. I totally respect your privacy to your butt. Then we can put it on the forearm.
I tell you, and wouldn't it be hysterical? I would love watching you have to get an eagle on your arm. That's what I'm talking about.
The thing that's funny is, of the two, I would rather have to end up with an eagle than a star.
Right. Exactly.
Nobody asked you, Bo.
Bo knows football, obviously. So
you can explain an eagle away if you're looking at one kid that's 20 with a star. Like, I don't know.
Hey, you remember, there's more of us than there is of them. You'll fit right in. You'll be perfect good company. No big deal. And worst case scenario, you just put a little red and blue. You can make it a Texas flag. You can turn a star into anything. Trust me. It's very hard to turn an eagle into anything.
That's
That's
because you
all
don't
right.
have
If I put an eagle on my arm, it'll be just fine. Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us this week. We will be back on Monday to talk about what happened this past weekend. But thank you very much for everybody who commented and everybody who hung with us today. We will see you guys on Monday. Everybody, have a great weekend and go Birds.
Go boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The boys suck. Dallas sucks.